As Valentina mentioned, once you've had your eligibility checks of your application will go through to the Ocean Expert Committee, who will review it based on certain assessment criteria. So each application, once it's passed the eligibility checks, will be assessed against the criteria shown here. At least 3 experts will assess each application, and the scores will be combined into the application score. So this is going to inform the SIFT meeting, where the ocean experts come together to discuss the applications that we've received in that round. So the score isn't directly linked to the outcome, because the Ocean Expert Committee will also have a discussion around some of the other elements of the projects to come to their decision. So the key criteria that they'll be looking at are the technical merit of your application, the marine impact, the poverty reduction, and whether or not you are building capability and capacity through the project. You'll notice here we've got scaling potential. This is great if you can show that, but this is not one of the criteria for community grants. This is more of a key focus for partnership grants. So please focus really on the 4 criteria shown under the community grants column here. So firstly, on technical merit. So there's a lot of information in these slides coming up. So please be aware that we'll share the slides with you afterwards so you can read at your leisure. But all of this information is in the guidance note to applicants as well. So yeah, bear with me on this. Okay, so the first thing that the Ocean Expert Committee will be looking for is that you've got a methodology and a budget that's appropriate to meet what you're saying you're going to do through your project. Now you'll develop this more at stage 2, but at this stage, the amount of the total budget that you're asking for needs to appear to be a reasonable and feasible amount to deliver what you're saying you're going to deliver during your project lifetime. We also want you to describe and demonstrate how you're going to strengthen capability and capacity of your local partners. So this could be the local community that you're working with, or it could be local organizations that you're working with. We also are looking for, they'll also be looking for that you having identified those risks, as I mentioned before, and thought about your mitigation actions. But at this stage, this will be quite light touch, and it will be more in depth in the second stage of your application. It is also good to think about the safeguarding and ethical issues at this stage, and also the gender inequality and social inclusion that I mentioned earlier. Your project team will also have to have the capability and capacity to deliver at a high level and professional standard. So in your second stage, you'll be submitting CVs, but at this stage, we just want to know who you're planning to have involved in the project. Okay, next slide, please. So marine impact. This is just to go into a bit more about what we mean by this key objective of the programme. So we want projects that aim to protect, restore, and enhance the marine environment and its biodiversity. This could be through sustainable management or conservation approaches. We're looking for projects that can improve the awareness and understanding of global ocean challenges and look for ways to address them. It needs to be clear that you're contributing to an identified need in the marine environment. And your project needs to be new and additional, not just repeating past work or continuing ongoing activities. We're looking for distinct projects. And you need to give us a clear logic of why your project is going to contribute to the outcomes highlighted in Ocean. So how you go and think about how you're going to provide evidence on that. We're also looking at that poverty reduction element. So when we talk about poverty in the ocean program, we recognize that this is not only about a lack of money. We use the definition of multidimensional poverty, and this can include a lack of income, but also lack of land or access to basic material goods and services that people need to live a dignified life. This could also include deficiencies in healthcare, security, education, or other social services. So your project needs to show us how it's going to deliver benefits for poor, marginalized, and vulnerable communities. And this can be through activities that help to secure increased income whilst tackling marine issues. But it can also include things like safeguarding traditional rights and cultural values connected with the marine and coastal ecosystems. It can be about increasing the voice of marginalized communities, so empowering them to be able to take part in decision-making processes. Also increasing equality within communities, improving governance, and protecting and restoring the marine environment through capacity building of local communities and organizations. So a wee bit more on capability and capacity. So we're looking for projects that can demonstrate a strong evidence that they understand the needs of the community that they're working with, and what capability and capacity needs that they have. And the proposal should be able to connect organizations with the right people so that they can develop the capability and capacity that they wish to develop. As I said before, this work has got to be new and additional. It can't just be repeating past work or continuing processes that have been ongoing. It's got to be distinct to this project. And you should be using methodologies that are like widely understood to be a good way of developing capacity with local organizations. This can be hands-on approaches to practical activities in the field to develop skills and knowledge. It doesn't need to just be sit-down seminars or written materials. It can be hands-on approach to learning. And we just ask that you really define what area that you're developing capability and capacity. You don't just say you're going to develop capability and capacity. Tell us what aspect of capability and capacity that you're looking to work on through the project. So next slide, please, Billy. Yeah, so now on to gender equality and social inclusion. So for those of you, if you've not heard of this term before, gender equality is about addressing the inequalities and transforming the distribution of opportunities, choices, and resources available to girls, women, and non-binary individuals so that they have the power to shape their own lives and participate in processes. And this will help to increase equality between all genders. The definition that we use for social inclusion is about improving the terms for individuals and groups to take part in society. And this is to improve their ability to an opportunity and dignity of marginalized, disadvantaged people who are historically been excluded from decision-making processes, and give them more ability to take part in society. So when it comes to your project, we want you to think about how your project can impact positively and negatively girls, boys, women, and men, but more than that, other different parts of society. So you can think about the different categories. Think about people with disabilities. Think about people of different age groups, and there are many more. So we encourage you to have a look at our guidance to see a bit more further reading about this topic. We want you to think about whether your project can address some of the underlying barriers that exclude certain groups from accessing the opportunities you're creating, or opportunities that are currently available. and to think about how you're going to identify, avoid and monitor any risks and unintended negative consequences for certain groups of people. Make sure that your project is inclusive of all the different parts of society,